might sound a bit of a wild statement, it's just a question, people. Could Arsenal bully Real Madrid in any way?
Listen, if he's even on the touchline, warming up with the chance of coming on, that's going to give that stadium an unbelievable boost.
If Real decide, all right, we're coming in and sit back, what you got for us? What have we got for them?
The fans may have to be a bit patient. We might have to stink the joint out a bit and maybe allow them to have the majority of the ball and try and hit them.
I think the players have real fight. That's why I give us a chance, you know.
Listen, he ain't going to be your glamour guy. He ain't going to be... But sometimes in these ties, it's those sort of guys that come with a big moment.
Going into 05-06, I probably would have said 20%. We had a hella injuries that game. So there is a chance.
Well, how would that rank in terms of achievements for us?
It's not an achievement. On to the next one.
Welcome back, everyone, to 2 episodes. This is episode 1, where the 4 of us, me, Turkish, Laurie and Robbie, are going to debate some of the stuff that we're all thinking as we get ready for the return of Arsenal and football. Not too much play from the Premier League other than getting second sealed. Let's be honest, that's kind of all there is to it. But just a small matter of Real Madrid. So let's touch on that first. Like I said, part 2 will be out on the channel later this week. So go check that out when it comes out. Subscribe to the channel so you'll know when we are uploading. But it's Arsenal versus Real Madrid. It's the unthinkable. And actually maybe a year ago wouldn't have felt so unthinkable. But when you're going to the Bernabeu with Marino up top, you're probably hoping for a little bit of a miracle. I'm being a bit harsh and a bit facetious. He's done all right. But let's talk about it. Can Arsenal hurt Real Madrid? Can they do the unthinkable? Go through. Let's go to the most optimistic side of the table. Robbie, you gave us a 40% chance of doing it. We're closing in on it. How are you feeling about it?
And I still think we got a 40% chance of doing it. Yeah, we got a chance. We got a chance. Why is everybody giving us absolutely no chance? We've got a chance. Even the other day, you know what? I watched the game the other night. France versus Croatia. Right? Now, France went through. They did. But they scraped through on penalties. And then before those 2 legs, you would have given Croatia no chance. But Croatia won the first leg 2-0. France won the second leg 2-0, went to penalties, and even they just about scraped through because they missed a couple of penalties, France as well. So, you know, and we got a chance. I don't know why everyone's just saying we've got 0 chances. We know that Real Madrid are the favourites, but I definitely give us a chance.
All right, 40% for Robbie. What would you give us?
It may surprise you, family thing, but I'm with Robbie. I think we do have a chance. Maybe even slightly higher than 40, to be honest. I think...
Look at him laughing over there.
These brothers are there.
No, but you know what it is, James, right? No, listen, I've been watching sport a long time. I've seen a lot of upsets, and I'm not wishing to sound condescending.
No.
I follow sports. I've watched it religiously. There's always get upsets in sports, sometimes when you're least likely expecting it. And I also think that Arsenal do have a very strong point, tied, which is their defence. And I think if we can keep a clean sheet in one of the 2 games, then we've definitely got a chance.
A 40% chance? Or slightly more, you said? It's optimistic.
I'm optimistic.
You see, this is what I'm saying. People like you make people like me seem negative. Both of you over there. Because it's not realistic.
No, but that's life, though, isn't it?
But it's
that,
40%.
What you're seeing around this table is the personification of life. The glass half empty and the glass half full. Myself and Robbie,
what percentage
we're erring on the side of the half full, whereas you're the
20.
half empty.
20% chance.
Why so low?
1 in 5?
I just think the way our attack... who said it first? You said, how can we hurt Real? How can we hurt Real? You know, if we put set pieces aside, which even then we've scored 1, I think, since December, or 2 since the beginning of December. So it's not like that is where it was once upon a time this season. How can we hurt them? I haven't seen anything in the last few games aside from PSV and maybe last in the league being Man City that we can hurt them. We can hurt their defence. We just haven't been able to find the right... Listen, we've seen Ranieri in moments. Marino's popped up to finish off moments, but overall, even injuries aside, the midfield doesn't seem to be quick enough on the ball, zippy enough, transition well enough for me to think we can hurt. Can we keep them at bay? That's where the 20% comes in. You know, make it a tough game and see what we can do, because I think tactically Mikel needs to pull out his 2 best 90-minute or maybe 120 in the second leg, games of his managerial career. I don't think if he gets past Real Madrid any which way in the next 2 legs, we look back at those 2 games and say that was Mikel Arteta's best 2 performances as a manager at Arsenal. That's how big this game is. Real, we've seen better versions of them, I think, but they've got an abundant. If someone said how's Real going to hurt Arsenal, we can all list off multiple ways they can hurt us, not just with the starting 11, but maybe off the bench with different, like Brahim Diaz.
How did Real Betis beat them? How did they hurt them?
No, but I'm not saying we can't. I'm saying we can, but it's not realistic to say 40%. That's too close. So you're essentially saying 50. You're
no,
maybe
it's essentially said 40.
I said 40.
Maybe a drink or zoo of saying 50-50. That's how close it is to 50.
No, I said a little higher than 40. I was talking 40. I wouldn't say it's a 50-50 game because obviously
you're
it's
even
not.
closer to 50-50 than Rob. You've out-robbed Rob today.
No, but I explained. I said, listen, the strong point of Arsenal's team is their defence. Conceded the least amount of goals in the Premier League this season, least amount of goals in the Champions League. Listen, if they get their defence right, listen. If you keep clean sheets, you're not going to lose games, are you? That's what I'm saying. So they can keep a clean sheet in one of the 2 legs. They have a decent chance of going through.
Of course, 100. Listen, that goes without saying. But a lot of the goals I've seen us concede, because we have got the best defensive record, definitely. A lot of the goals I've seen us concede is quick transitions, players working it into space, and not players of the level of Mbappe, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Vinicius, and even more off the bench. I've seen even off the top of my head, Raul Jimenez, his goal was a quick counter. I think there was even one recently. Who did we concede to recently? West Ham. West Ham, quick counter, 3 passes in the back of the net. That's what Real are great at. That's what they.
But look, you had to scrape around there for 2 examples.
No, I can find more.
Fulham,
let me have a think about it. Look, let me go through them. You talk over there.
Just a little preview of Gunners Unfiltered, everyone.
The defence has been excellent this season, right? I mean, the defence has been really, really good. So, like Laurie said, that does give us a chance. We know about their attacking prowess. We know, if we're wide open, like what Man City were, and make loads of mistakes. Because if you go back to that Man City game, City were actually doing all right attacking-wise, but their defending was shocking. You look at the goals that they conceded, they were literally gifted to them by City, the goalkeeper, the defender, I think it was Gvardiol, some horrendous. We cannot afford to do that. We know if we do anything like that, we're out, right? So we're going to have to defend. We have to defend properly. We're going to have to be structured. But we've got a good defence. We've got a good midfield as well, right? When we're talking Declan Rice, Partey, these guys are solid, right? I think we've got a chance. You can't just write us off. And in the Champions League, let's remember, we've been very good in the Champions League. Finished 3rd in the Champions League. Real Madrid didn't do very well in the Champions League. We know that they are that team that peaked later on, but they haven't had, a stellar Champions League campaign. Over the 2 legs against Atletico, they went through on penalties. They didn't brush them aside. I just think that, we look at the threats up front, and obviously scary, but we say, everybody's just like, yeah, no chance. It was Mbappe. Mbappe was playing the other night against Croatia. Mbappe, Dembele, Elise, Barcola. You've never seen as much attacking threat as that, and they still struggled. So it's not as straightforward as what people are saying. I think we've got a chance.
So let's break down how this could happen. I sit in between you guys. It's not as high as 40% for me, but I think Arsenal have a chance. I think we are capable of putting together something tactically. I think the players have real fight. That's why I give us a chance. When you are good at things like set pieces, when you can defend, and fight for your life, which these players have shown they can do, especially defensively. I think you've always got a chance in a football match. It's the nature of the sport. I think we lack a little bit of individual quality to win a game, which I think over 180 minutes of football is going to show. I also think, and I know I made a joke about it at the start, and I actually think he's done okay, all things considered, but you're going with Mikel Marino up front. So you're not going to catch them in transition, you're not going to do that. But I don't think he's quite good enough for us to pin them in and sort of be controlling Real Madrid. I'd be amazed if we have a spell, maybe a little bit at the Emirates, be amazed if over 180 minutes we're actually having a lot of possession. I think one thing Arsenal can do is actually press Real Madrid. Because if you want to stop Rodri, Mbappe and Rodrigo getting the ball, well, just suffocate the supply line. I think it's the one thing Arsenal, despite everything that's gone wrong this season, have actually still done really, really well. Look at our first goal against Man City. We are really good at using the physicality of Rice, Partey, Ødegaard, Ødegaard for his pressing, obviously, but like the likes of Martinelli and Saka work incredibly hard and just squeezing teams in. Get onto their midfield, get onto their back four. I think that's where Arsenal have a chance, guys. What do you think, Laurie?
I'm not writing it off, by the way.
I agree with all of that. And like I said, the strong point of Arsenal's team is the defence. And I think if we can keep clean sheets or limit them to the odd goal, I know it's a big ask. Listen, I understand thoroughly what we're getting into here. But I do believe they have a chance. That's where I differ from the likes of people like Turkish. I'm not going into this game thinking, minimal chance or no chance. I think we do. If we got to play well, got to be disciplined.
No,
we're going to have our moments. We've got to be a little bit.
We believe we have the same chance, though.
Sorry?
We believe we have the same chance defensively. It's just that you are weighing that chance more than I am. That's the only difference. I haven't said we haven't had a chance. I'm saying 20%. Going into 05-06, I probably would have said 20%. We had a hella injuries that game. So there is a chance. That's the proof's in the pudding there. The last time we played Real, we had injuries. Our defensive line, it wasn't looking good that game. Our attack saved us. We're looking at it different. Defense needs to save us this time round. But the defense can only do so much. The attack needs to put it to bed. And that's where, with the first leg being at the Emirates, Saka being short of that. If it was the other way around, and let's say it was Bernabeu first, I'd be like, lock the doors. Yeah. Get out of there with at most a 1-goal loss. Saka comes back for the second leg, and let's just see what we. It's the other way around. Saka misses the one where we could just lose it in the first leg because if we don't come out of Emirates with a lead, and to be honest, ideally a 2-goal lead, and that's where it becomes a stretch. The chances at Bernabeu to get anything is not.
I actually want to talk about the Saka stuff in a sec. Would we risk him and all this kind of stuff? So we'll go into that. But I just want to ask you quickly, Turkish, about, might sound a bit of a wild statement. It's just a question, people. Could Arsenal bully Real Madrid in any way? I mean, they are perfect in almost every way, this team, this group of players, a collection of profiles, quality, all that. But Arsenal are a big team. They're a strong team. Could you just get stuck into them? Could you make it a little bit uncomfortable? Could you make it awkward? Could you dominate off set pieces? I mean, is there a world in which Gabriel scores from a header in the first 20 minutes? We've been really physical. We haven't let them get into their game. You've left a few on them. I'm not talking, obviously actually hurting them, but a couple fouls, breaking up play and just showing yourself physically. That's maybe one way Arsenal can try and disrupt the Real Madrid flow a little bit.
Bully is a strong word.
It is a strong word.
I'd say we can impose ourselves physically,
nice way
which
to
is
put it.
short of bullying.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking at players like Kai Havertz and Ben White in terms of being able to bully a little bit, being able to use their presence or size or whatever attribute they have to.
I'm glad you put Havertz in there because he does.
Yeah, because those two are the ones for me. I look at that. So I look at that side of it, and I think them two, they've got that in them. Without them two, I think we still impose ourselves physically. That's all we can do. Yeah. Because Arteta has built this team physically rather than technically. We have no technical side to lean on. Do you get what I'm saying? Whereas maybe Real are looking at the opposite. We've got an abundance of technical quality and pace in it. They've got the opposite. They've got physicality but no pace and not much technicality.
I think the bullying thing don't work. I think the straight up bullying like you could do in the Premier League won't work in the Champions League because the refs, they won't allow it. They just don't allow that level of physicality that you could get away with in the Premier League.
Even if they don't allow it, you're still disrupting them. As long as you're not picking up stupid yellows.
But we've got to be up in their face. We've got to be smart with it. I think our Arsenal can win this game is a lot of control, which is something we've actually seen Arsenal be good at. Control the game. And when those moments come, you got to take it. You know what I mean? Martinelli will be back in the team, so there's a bit more pace now that he's back in. If he gets a chance, he has to take it. And don't sleep on Marino. I said this the other night, right? I did a live and I said this. I know some people are calling me delusional and stuff like that, but I was backing it up. Mikel Marino, we know he ain't gonna, sprint away like Mbappe and score a goal. He ain't gonna even sprint away like a Trossard or a Martinelli and score a goal. But what he's done, he's scored big goals. You know what I mean? The game against Leicester, right? I know it's Leicester's not Real Madrid. 2 goals in that game, wins us the game, won us the game against Chelsea. The other night, Spain. Who comes on? They're 2-1 down. They're looking like they're going out. Marino comes with a big goal. Marino's Spanish. He's played he'll know Real Madrid. He'd have played at the Bernabeu. Marino, big goal in the Euros, remember? Spain on their way out. Big goal by him. He's a guy kind of props up.
That's a good point. Yeah, scored some
He
big goals.
pops up with some big goals, right? I'll tell you. Listen, he ain't going to be your glamour guy. He ain't going to be... But sometimes in these ties, it's those sort of guys that come with a big moment. So if those big moments come for Arsenal, they have to take it, because we know we just don't have the firepower that they have where they could just keep knocking on the door. And I do agree with you guys, that first leg, we have to come out of it with something. We cannot, at the very least, get defeated. I think that's when we played Bayern, that draw killed us. We should have won that first game against Bayern last season, and we could have went through. We didn't take our chances. And then we were in defence, it was very uncharacteristically poor from Arsenal. That can't afford to happen against Real Madrid. Because we saw that. That's where City lost. The City lost that game in the first leg when they gave away them stupid chances at the end of the game. That was it. They've got.
Just picking up on it, I think Robbie's right. He makes a lot of good points. And I think as well, I'll be very interested to see Arsenal's tactical approach to that game at the Emirates, because
It won't be all out attack, that's for sure.
Exactly. The fans may have to be a bit patient. We might have to stink the joint out a bit and maybe allow them to have the majority of the ball and try and hit them, because we have to be defensively responsible, we have to be disciplined, and you have to be smart. You can't just
Play
go
a bit like Atletico.
Yeah, you can't just go and engage those guys. So
which a lot of people say we do already play. When Arsenal plays lots, and we've seen it all season, they're pretty good at doing that. Lots and lots of control on the ball. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of how we're going to play. Also, I'm not sure if in that first leg, Real will be all-out attack. I think I heard you saying it, James. And I think you're right. They're not going to go all-out attack. They'll be a little bit cautious as well. And what if Saka does come back? I know you're going to touch on that.
Yeah, I definitely.
What would that do to the atmosphere?
I definitely want to ask about Bukayo Saka. Before I do that,
that's a lot of weight.
Were you just going to jump on something Robbie was saying about the Bayern Munich game and the defending in that?
No, I was going to touch on the Marino stuff, because I agree to an extent. But if I look at Marino, goal off the bench for Spain at the Euros, goal off the bench the other day for Spain, Leicester off the bench. His best goals seem to be coming off the bench, plan B, especially in that department.
You missed out the Chelsea one.
Yeah, the Chelsea one aside, that was a good header, by the way, good header. But the Chelsea one aside, which turned out to be the goal that wins you the game, it would have been nice to see Arteta change it up in the attack, because I would prefer to have Marino as an option off the bench, because if Real decide, all right, we're coming in with sit back, what you got for us? What have we got for them with Marino up top? What have we got? If they do that and then they pull us in, as much as we talk about give them the ball, what's stopping them doing that? Because their attack transition bang. So I worry, because we've got 2 games now to, in my opinion, find something else in attack, and maybe use Marino as the plan B. Whether that's Martinelli, if you know, and you do want to try soak it up from Real and then go on the counter, then you at least have a striker or an attacker that can play, you know, off the shoulder.
I'll be surprised that he hasn't used Martinelli in attack.
That's why.
Last game I was surprised. Yeah, because Ranieri got dropped. No, not dropped, rested, whatever people want to say.
Yeah. And I get the feeling it'd be like that in the first leg, because the reason being, the reason why I think in that last game, Ranieri was on the bench is because he's got to have something in reserve with some pace. And if you play Ranieri and Martinelli, then what have you got in reserve? And remember, for that first game, you haven't even got Sterling, because he stupidly got himself like a yellow card right at the end of the game. So he's out of that first leg, so you can't even bring him on as a...
I hear you. I do think for Real, though, I want to see Trossard down the middle, because I get Marino's done quite. He has scored some big goals, but also to Turkish's point, a lot of them on the bench, a lot of them as an impact sub. I also don't mind the idea of Marino being able to come on if we need to see the game out, because you've got Partey, Rice, Ødegaard. Let's say we have a 1 or 2 goal lead, which would be incredible at the Emirates. You take one of them off that's tiring, and you get Marino on and Trossard. So I don't even think we should look beyond him having to play a role in midfield for this game. But if you've got, I mean, again, so I keep teasing it, so we'll talk about Saka now. But if you've got Martinelli, Trossard, Ranieri as your front 3 for the Emirates, and maybe Saka, It feels like there's balance,
That's
and
the best
there's
free
an
it can
option,
be without Saka.
right? And then there's an option off the bench, even if Saka's fit to stay, and then Waneri comes on. So when we talk about hurting Madrid, I could see Waneri picking the ball in a little pocket and just finding the top corner, because he's done like 6 times this season for the under-21s, like yesterday, and he's doing it. He's doing it. Bukayo Saka has scored big goals against big clubs. Arsenal's record against the traditional big six in England, we haven't lost since the start of. Well, no, we haven't lost since the 22-23 season. So we are good at these big games, but you need individual quality to get you through. Yeah. Now, on Saka, what's going to determine whether he's fit to play the Emirates game for you, Robbie? So let me put this to you. Let's say he comes on again.
If he can walk.
Well, yeah, if he says, yes, I'm fit. If he plays 10 minutes off the bench against Fulham and then gets maybe half an hour off the bench against Everton, would you start him for the Real Madrid game?
I don't think you can start him that early with the injury that he's had. I don't think I'd start him. But if he's can do a job off the bench I think you said it, Turkish. If he can maybe come off the bench in the first leg and then be fit for the second leg, because the second leg's not until the 16th. Then that would be a bonus. I just can't see him being fully fit for that. We've seen Ben White come back and look how rusty he's looked.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit different when you're playing in forward positions, but I'd say off the bench if possible for the first one, and then the second one, if you're fit, then just go Hail Mary.
What are you thinking, Laurie? Would you in any way push Saka because it's a big game, or do you think there's a bigger future to look out for?
Yeah, I'd be reluctant to start him, to be honest. I doubt if he starts. However, I do think he will play a part in the game, and I'd like to see him used as an impact sub. I really do. I think things are tight, which I'm kind of envisaging they will be. To introduce him as a substitute in 70, 75 minutes, let him have a run at them, see what he can do, give the team a bit of energy, a bit of a psychological boost. I think that works well.
Okay, Turkish, how much are you willing to sort of risk Saka when it comes to these ties?
If what you said happens 10:30, I start him against Real.
That's kind of where I
don't think he will play a part in the next game.
No.
That's where I'm saying bring him off the bench. But if he plays 10 then 30, I'm starting him. It's a massive game. Massive. It's the biggest.
It's a massive game, but you do have
game.
to be careful with the nature of that type of injury. You do need to be careful.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I'm sure Saka will want to play that, regardless. And we've come from an era where a lot of man risked injury, and a lot of man would play through a certain amount of pain for the badge, for the greater good, for success.
The hamstrings, though.
Yeah, it's not the 100%. We've seen hamstrings kill better players before. So it's all a balance, but this is all ifs, buts and maybes. I'm just saying if he plays 10 then 30, then I'll be starting him against Real, because that's a trajectory to start. And if it was Fulham, Everton and then Southampton and Real, I'd be like, 10, 30, start, bring him off at 60 and then start again. That would be ideal. Mm-hmm. But you can still bring him off at 60 against Real anyway.
Could there be any element of mind games here, people? Could Saka have been sort of pretty good to go maybe a week or two ago, and they're just easing him in, taking their time, keeping him away from everything? I mean, it's not beyond Arsenal Arteta to do this kind of thing. I remember when he first got injured, and since then he's had surgery, so I'm not saying Arsenal have sort of been lying about it, but at first they were sort of saying, he'll probably miss January. It's now become January, February, most of March. We're getting into April now. We're talking about nearly 3 and a bit months. Could it be that they've just actually really taken their time and he's good to go?
I don't know. I'm surprised he's even back. Just going off of when I've interviewed Dr. Andre on the channel.
Go check that out, everyone, by the way.
Yeah, ex-football doctor, and he's just always said it's a 4 to 6 month injury, and we're just coming on the 4 months now.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So I'm not sure if he's been playing and they're going to unleash it. I think it's still going to be more an ease-in thing. I mean, it'd be listen, if he's even on the touchline, warming up with the chance of coming on, that's going to give that stadium an unbelievable boost.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait for the game. The atmosphere is going to be incredible.
Yeah, it will be. You'll know he'll want to play.
Yeah,
whatever situation he's in, he'll be going.
Every top player should want to play.
I'll admit, and I think that's maybe part of all this that we underestimate is they can have scans, and there'll be certain things that doctors will be able to just see. But then there'll be other things like, you just did a sprint, how did that feel? And Saka might just go good, because he wants to be on that pitch, and that'll be another element. So it's a difficult one for Arteta to balance. I think with the emergence of Nwaneri, the fact that we have our midfield three intact, I'm leaning towards Nwaneri starting that first game of the Emirates, unless I've seen like Saka get some significant football, in which case it'd just be stupid not to play him. But it looks like Nwaneri. But I want Trossard down the middle, like I said, even though Marino's done quite well. All right, everyone, should we do some score predictions, or a bit early?
Save that for the preview.
It's early, man.
Yeah,
I need to see
we need to,
the next
who's
couple
available.
of games.
Fair enough.
We'll do another reassessment.
Well, I'll ask you.
Percentage reassessment.
Do you know what? Actually, I won't. I was going to ask what you think we'll go through. We'll do it all in the
thing
previews.
is about that game, though, is it's a one-off, though, isn't it? So regardless of what
Well,
happens...
it's not a one-off. It's 2 legs.
Okay.
So
No, but you know what I'm saying? The tie is a one-off. So using the Fulham game and the Everton games, which come between, to assess the Real Madrid game, I'm not sure if that's a like-for-like comparison.
Yeah, but it's about getting back on a bit of form in it. Like, even the last game, Chelsea, we won, but
wasn't great.
Weren't a great performance, and then previous to that, we weren't scoring goals. It's about like using those games to get, and that Fulham game won't be. None of those 2 games were easy. No. Fulham's not easy. Everton picked it up. That's not easy away either. So those are two difficult games. But if they could get on a little bit of form, show something in those 2 games that gives them, because they're going to need that belief. They're going to need that belief that they can, because I've no doubt they can defend well, they can control the game. But it is that, like you said, Turkish, can they score a couple goals? That's the thing.
Let's see. We'll obviously be covering it all here on AFTV. There will be previews near the game where we'll obviously be discussing
if
who's available.
If they do manage to win, how would that rank in terms of achievements for us?
It's not an achievement. On to the next one.
I think to Turkish's point, it would be a highlight in Arteta's time to have got past Real Madrid, but then there's
it's a great memory. It's not an achievement.
It'd be massive.
You just don't have time.
It's a great memory, like about 06 was a great memory, but it's not. We didn't achieve anything.
No, but it did get us all the way to just give it a belief to get to the final.
And if we had won it, then that moment becomes even greater. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it's en route to winning it.
I think for Arteta, it'd be a big turning point for him if he could get over Real Madrid over 2 legs.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Yeah. All right, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like we said, there's a part 2. We're talking about Berta and the transfer targets, priorities. We're going to debate, what should he be prioritising as we enter a huge summer, which Arsenal have lots of positions to address. So look out for that. And of course, as Robbie said, there's the interview you did talking about Bukayo Saka's injury, when we're expecting him back. Well, let's hope he is back in time for Real Madrid. So check that all out on the channel. We'll see you very, very soon.